Hello, investors. This is Ted Zhang, portfolio manager at Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 4:56 p.m., coming to you from Fort Lauderdale with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. State of the market, we're in a short-term uptrend. Follow through days, of course, April 22nd and 23rd. Looking at the GROTECTION gauge, we have up arrows and market leaders and the short term. Medium term, indexes are above the 50-day and the 10-week. So therefore, we have a green sub arrow, especially when that 50-day starts sloping up or flattening, and the 8 and 21 get back above the 50. We can probably deem a longer or a green arrow for the medium term trend. On the other side, the long term trend still down, still below flattening and declining 200-day moving averages and 40-week moving averages. So nothing has changed there. What happened today? Relatively mute reaction on expected Fed rate decision. 21 over 21 list up 0.88%, 15 up, 2 sideways, 3 down. Big 8 up 0.03%, RG8 up 0.64%, S&P 500 up 0.43%, RSP up 0.66%, QQQ up 0.40%, QQEW up 0.74%, Dow Jones up 0.70%, mid caps up 0.26%, small caps up 0.33%, global 60/40 equities bonds up 0.15%, and GROTECTION up 0.36%, ROBOTECTION up 0.79%. So jumping right into the chart of the S&P 500, we're looking at sorry about that pause. Had a couple technical difficulties, but we're back. So let's jump right into the charts. Starting off with the S&P 500. When we're looking at S&P 500 today, you can even call it subtle accumulation because we closed at near the highs of the day with an increase in volume versus yesterday's volume bar. And the majority of the last 3 weeks have been dominated by blue bars. So that's always a good sign. The 21 EMA has hooked up, and we're looking for that 21 50-day cross. This 50-day is starting to flatten as well, and the 200-day is flattening as well as the 150-day. So if we could, the more we chop around this area, it gives us the opportunity to break out of a key level with the 2150 EMA or MAs aligned and get back above the longer term moving averages. The weekly chart, 10-week is starting to flatten as well. 40 and 30 actually are flattened, but we do have a declining 20 above. Go on to 5 minute today, as you can see, we pretty much just chopped around all day, even on FOMC. At 2 p.m. interest rate decision, we sold off a little bit, didn't go very much, rallied on Powell, chopped around, and then this spike was actually due to some Trump news easing chip restrictions. So, yeah, pretty much, like I said, mute reaction on the day. Onto the RSP, 21 EMA is also sloping up, looking for that 2150 cross. QQQ, similar action. The 21 is actually about to cross the 50. That is always a great sign, and that would indicate an intermediate trend has started. Although these crossovers can be lagging indicators, so we'll have to see what the indexes do against the 200-day moving average and the 150. Those will be key. But the leaders are acting extremely well, and we're going to take it day by day here. QQEW, similar action, starting to build a flag on their 200 over this level would be really nice. Take that out, take the 200 out, the 150 with the 2150 cross, and we could potentially look for higher prices. Dow Jones, relatively weaker than the other indexes, especially the S&P and the NASDAQ, flagging at the declining 50. 21 is also crossing back up. Mid-cap, 21 is also hooked up. 50 is declining. We're flagging above the 50, but still far off the declining 200-day moving average. Finally, small cap still below a declining 200 and 150, still below a declining 50. We are looking for that 2150 cross, but the slope of the 50-day moving average is still quite in a steep downtrend. VIX, still above the 20 level, but below 30, so that's a good first start. We would love to see the VIX get below 20, and that probably coincides with a breakout over the 200-day moving averages on the indexes, some sort, or a trade deal announcement, um, or tariff or lowering of tariffs. And that is really, I mean, the markets really are just trading on tariff news and hoping that we do avoid a recession. Those are two of the biggest levers right now that we're looking at. The dollar continues to maintain this undercut reclaim level, really just right there, that 99.50 level we closed above today, building this little mini daily head and shoulder. So perhaps we could make a push into the declining 50-day moving average. Gold today, just some consolidation after the recent 3-day strength, still above the 21 EMA. Weekly, really just model book weekly chart out of this 10-year cup with handle that we've talked about even over a year and a half ago on our podcast. Just pure accumulation on the monthly. You can see the skyscrapers of blue volume are all on the monthly as well. Gold miners broke out of this flag, bounced up the 21 EMA, consolidation day today on lower volume. So that's still constructive. Silver miners, after this huge flush, we've rallied so far, found support at the 50, 21, and 150 area. And we'll see how this plays out. This is still sloppy action, but we are starting to see some volatility contraction here. And I do expect volatility expansion sooner or later. Bitcoin continues to stay strong as well, building at the right side of this base, as I've been talking about. I don't think a sustained move and a smooth move will happen until the 10-week gets above 20-week. That's the red over the green. Daily MAs are aligned though, so that is a good thing. But as you can see, the handle is really not too constructive here. It's like kind of in this little wedgie pattern that's expanding, megaphone type. That's never really a good pattern for a pivot into a breakout. So perhaps a shakeout, completion on the right side, and then Bitcoin is ready as well. Bonds continue to rally today as the 10-year falls. Same with TLT and TYX. TYX is down to 4.77%. TNX is down to 4.27%. And we just stay in this range right now. We do like to see yields come down. That definitely eases some pressure off the rest of the economy, mortgage rates, borrowing, small business lending, and more. So that is it from the inter-asset correlation. Now onto the tail of the tape. Since talked about the VIX, CNN fear and greed down 156. We're still operating in the bull case. Initiate a rally and trend above the 21 EMA. That happened on April 24th. News today. The Fed decided to hold interest rates at 4.25 to 4.5% expected. Powell really just similar message, dual mandate, maximum employment, price stability. They did mention that there is a higher risk of higher inflation and higher unemployment, and that risk has risen, and that would indicate stagflation. But Powell did emphasize that it has not reflected in the data yet. But however, the risks are higher. He just discussed some GDP, how it dropped in the first quarter. He talked about unemployment rate remaining at 4.2%, which is low, and wage growth is strong. He still says inflation has eased significantly off the 2022 highs, but remains elevated from the 2% goal. And pretty much the Fed is in a wait and watch period, looking at the policies of the new administration around trade, immigration, fiscal policy, the budget, the reconciliation bill, and regulation. And those forces will impact the economy, labor market, inflation, and growth. So no interest rate yet. That's a quick summary of Powell. Earnings, we had Uber, they beat. Strong earnings, gap down a little bit, but held in strong. ARM as well. Look at that. Did okay. Carvana, another earnings that was on watch. We're looking at that. AMD, still in a downtrend, and then TEM, nice reversal off initial gap down, found support the 50-day as well. So those are some earnings we had on watch. Today's keys, we're watching S&P versus the 50, which we closed above, still closed below the 200. Qs versus 50, closed above, closed below the 200. And the FOMC reaction, I labeled it as quite mute. Day count up 9, consolidation 2 to up 9, consolidation 3. We're building this flag on the 200-day moving averages. 11 days above the 8 EMA, 10 days above the 21 EMA. Short-term expectations are positive. Action, like I showed earlier, we opened up a little bit positive, chopped all day, and we saw a mute Fed reaction. It is good to see the S&P ATR back below 3%, and this continues to decrease, especially as the volatile days are eliminated off the 21-day trailing average. So that is a good sign. S&P was up 43 basis points, 60-40 up 0.15. Grow, again, 36 basis points, and Turbo, 79 basis points. Strong effectors, bonds were up, dollar was up, tech, discretionary, and healthcare. Uranium was up, semis, RK, and Bitcoin. On the downside, builders, communications, China, oil and gas, gold, and silver. In Grow, we added HIMS, CRS, Hood, 0.83 beta, 2.96% open heat. In Turbo, we added Spotify and Hood, 0.83 beta, 4.67% open heat. And the bottom line is mute reaction on expected Fed rate decision. So with that being said, let us go over the 21 over 21 list. And starting off at the top, HIMS just ultra strong after earnings. Initially, we saw a gap down and just a huge move off those lows, off 38. Really just extraordinary move from the lows of yesterday's earnings day to now. That's a 37% move. So just unreal action in HIMS. Did a 300% year-over-year growth in earnings, 111% growth in revenues. And the main deal was the MBO partnership that brings Wegovy to HIMS subscribers. And that is a huge revenue driver. Spotify broke out to new all-time highs as well. Just amazing action. Break out the double bottom base, double inside day, and take out the highs into new all-time highs. Hood, another one that's acting great. Broke out this flag, found support the 21 EMA. We have the 2150, 150, 200 alignment. I do think we might chop around a little longer because the 10-week is working on curling back above the 20-week moving average. But Hood also has many new revenue streams, new areas that they are exploring into, such as Kalshi sports betting, the Robinhood Gold Card, and more. LNG, natural gas name. This is a really, really tight base, really nice VCP characteristics, and natural gas is going to play a crucial part in powering data centers and just the everyday American. Netflix continues to float higher. We're close to ants here after this double bottom base breakout and earnings. Palantir still holding in after the gap down, but the longer it takes us to fill this gap, the weaker that will be. And that is a sign. We want to fill this gap as soon as possible, form a constructive handle, and then break out to new all-time highs. GV, another natural gas related name with their turbines. This gap is about to fill. Ours lie new highs before price, so that is a great sign. And we're just building the right side of the space here. Earnings came in great as well, 294% year-over-year earnings. Sales could have been better, but still decent growth. Bitcoin I already talked about. TKO, just building this right side of the base. Some really nice right side of base action. And it's really going to come down to what do stocks do at their left side peaks? Do they build a constructive handle or completely fail there? Earnings in one day. Duolingo, another great earnings reaction. It is great to see positive earnings reactions. That means there's an underlying institutional bid in the markets. GWRE broke out of a double bottom base as well. And on the downside, Crowd is a name that is down. That is expected as we approach the left side peak. We just need to build a handle here, and this will be completely normal if we saw something like that. Uber, gap down to earnings, close strong. So I see this as a positive reaction. This is a subtle sign of accumulation, in my opinion. Higher volume, but we close at the highs of the range. Over 87 is another add point. Boeing, so tight right here. Not a lot of momentum, though. Carvana, also working on the right side of its base as it climbs to the left side peak. Zscaler is a cybersecurity name in CrowdStrike's group. Really nice base breakout here. Really the final base breakout is around this 260 level. So one other name that's not on the 21 over 21 list that I am stocking, it's related to Bitcoin, is MicroStrategies. Over 400, over 405-ish is an entry point. And we will see what happens. I would like to see the 21 catch up, the 50 curl up, and then the 10 get back above the 20 as well. And it's starting to look like a base, like the last one that broke out in November. So we will see how that plays out as well. That being said, I'm going to wrap it up for this video. Today's Wednesday, May 7th. If you're interested in reaching out in what we do and or interested in becoming a client, you can reach out to me at ted@revereasset.com. My Twitter or X is ted_Zhang. Our phone is 855 Real Wealth. That is 855-732-5932. Our website is revereasset.com, and our YouTube is also Revere Asset. That being said, I'm going to wrap it up for today's video. This is Ted Zhang, portfolio manager at Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thank you for listening and have a great rest of your week.